In this tutorial, we're going to cover what you need to get started to use sweet sprinkles, how to use sweet sprinkles, and troubleshooting. To create your own homemade fondant sprinkles, there are some essential products you will need to purchase. First of all, the sweet sprinkle scraper, which you use to scrape the fondant inside the sweet sprinkles plate. This particular sweet sprinkles plate is the rainbow and the sun's design, but there are many others available. You will also need to purchase some fondant, and we're going to talk later on about fondant. And then you will need to also purchase the twin pack sweet sprinkles mats. If you don't already have one at home, you will need to purchase a good quality silicone pastry mat. This particular brand is the Sofrito brand, and the reason I love this is it's really thin and it's got an excellent grip. The sweet sprinkle system works on friction, and that means there needs to be no movement between all surfaces, including the sweet sprinkles plate, the mat, the silicone mat, and your bench top. The first step is to take your sweet sprinkles design and place it on top of your silicone mat. Secondly, we're going to take our fondant and just work it gently, and then we're going to pop it in the middle of our sweet sprinkles plate. Thirdly, we're going to take our sweet sprinkles scraper and we're going to start from the center, and we're just going to be working our way around, scraping that fondant inside the design. Now this is really important. What we need to remember is if we're trying to scrape too much fondant off at once, it's going to want to come up and out of the tool. So what we're doing here is we're just gently scraping little bits off at a time, working our way around it. And you can see here I've done 2 laps, and on my final scrape you will see how perfect that finish is. Our sweet sprinkles are now ready for stamping. So what we're going to do is bring in our sweet sprinkles mat, make sure we've got a really grippy surface. Let's stamp our sweet sprinkles onto the sweet sprinkle mat. Place your sweet sprinkle plate onto your sweet sprinkle mat, and I'm just going to use my 4 fingers to just press back and forth on the tool, which then helps the release onto the mat. We're creating a friction. This will create the best friction if you just repeat that process all the way up and down, then give it a little wiggle. And when you're removing it, remember to remove from the top to the bottom like you're peeling it back. That will give you the best results. As you can see here, they've all released just perfectly. I finished stamping a full mat of sprinkles, and I'm going to leave them anywhere from 2 to 24 hours to dry. I've also used 3 different fondants on this plate, and I'm going to talk about those fondants in the troubleshooting section at the end of this video. Now it's time for the fun part, removing the sprinkles. You will need to use your Sweet Sticks Flexi Scraper, which is available to purchase from both the Sweet Sticks and Sweetly Impressed websites. There is a 2-part technique for removing the sprinkles. So what I'm doing is just bending the sprinkle mat in half to slowly release the sprinkles off the mat. You only need to do this gently, and you can also roll from one end and then also roll from the other end. To remove the remainder of the sprinkles, use your Sweet Sticks Flexi Scraper and just go in and under all of the sprinkles, working your way around that mat. Check out those beautiful homemade sprinkle colours. Now let's add to this blend by popping in a few sprinkles that have been pre-luster dust. So I'm using the unicorn horn design here, which I have pre-made, and I am going to be popping that into my sprinkle mix. But first, let me show you how I got the beautiful gold finish on those sprinkles. I'm going to be using the Sweet Sticks Metallic Luster in 24 karat gold. I'm only using a very small amount of the metallic luster dust. I'm trying not to waste any, although if you happen to go a little overboard, you can use a sieve to capture the rest and pop it back into the container. All I'm doing is working it in by shaking the bowl around, and as you can see, I'm not quite happy with the depth of this colour, and I'm going to be adding a little bit more in. And there you have it, your very own homemade sweet sprinkles, ready for you to decorate your cupcakes, cookies, and desserts. If you are having trouble with your sweet sprinkles, you may be using a fondant that is not recommended for sweet sprinkles. We are, however, developing techniques that do assist other fondants for removal. In this troubleshooting tutorial, I'm going to be using satin ice. There are a few additional tools involved, and that includes these little brushes, which I find really useful because they don't damage my good brushes. They come in packs of 50 and they are disposable. All I'm doing here is just popping a little bit of corn flour in each and every one of these little designs. Next, I'm going to tap out the excess flour. It's unnecessary to keep extra flour inside that mold, and we don't want our sprinkles to look all floury when we release them onto the mat. So what I'm doing is just wiping off that excess and making sure that that flour is nowhere near my sprinkle mat. Now, the differences in consistency with different fondants do matter. Satin ice is a little bit more sticky, and I have actually left this on the bench for an hour to dry out a little. Queen Fine Foods we use straight away, and Fondastic I generally let that set for about 10 minutes. You can download our fondant guide from either of our websites, and it will help you immensely in using the correct techniques for each fondant you're using. Once your fondant is prepped and your tool is prepped, then you're well on your way to getting great results with some different fondants if the two recommended fondants are not for you. Once you have made sure you are using the correct fondants, using the correct techniques, just make sure that your sprinkle mat is clear of any residue, flour, oil, or anything else. If you're unsure, just give it a wash with warm soapy water first. We hope this tutorial has you well on your way to perfecting the Sweet Sprinkles homemade fondant technique. Thank you.